Hi, I'm Jeff, the SP Spaz, back for another video and a continuation of answering some viewer mail. And before I move on to my next message, um, the last question that I got in the first message I received on my YouTube account that I started for this channel was, what do you think about ESFP and ADHD? That's too many acronyms, that's what I think. I'm going to kind of be a tease here and say that I am going to discuss that, but not yet. I have a lot of thoughts on that subject, and if I just kind of start talking about it, I will ramble more than usual and probably get a little too emotional and get kind of out of whack. So I have to kind of get to a point where I can really prepare for that one. I know it's kind of contrary to what you think of SPs as having to spend a lot of time preparing for something. But in that case, I sort of do, because I really want to kind of have my facts straight and kind of be able to really compose my ideas that I want to get across on that issue. So I want to acknowledge that I got that question and say stay tuned. I mean, it's already been like almost 7 months since you sent the question anyway, so I'm sure that probably not too much of an issue with waiting a little longer to have that answered. But anyway, that's what I was going to say about uh, about that one for now. Is just stay tuned, and I am going to eventually. I'm going to do a video or a series of videos on that subject. So I'm not ignoring it. I'm just telling you I'm not going to answer it yet, because as I'm recording this today, I have a little limited time left, so I kind of wanted to focus on something that I can be a little bit more. I know this is going to sound funny because I'll probably ramble quite a bit anyway, but less rambly in the sense that it's not quite as maybe super serious a topic, or something I don't know how to put that exactly. But anyway, I'll get back to that one. Another question I got, the mail said, hey, I'm an ESTP, I think. I watched a few of your videos about SPs and was just wondering what your opinions on emotions are, because I struggle to express my emotions, and understanding others' emotions, I almost consider whining about how you feel to be weak. Since I'm me, I don't know if I'm not as emotional as others, or just don't show it as easily, and when my friends are upset about something that can't be solved, I'm just like, but there's nothing you can do to fix it, so why overthink it? I don't know what to say if I can't offer a solution. So I was just wondering your thoughts, an SP thing or a TF thing, or neither, just me being cold as my friend told me. Also, if a part of my personality is something I can work on, or just the way I am. And a lot of good things brought up there. Um, Obviously, to a certain extent, emotions are a TF thing, but not exactly. That sounds like kind of a convoluted answer there, but what I mean by that is obviously it's not as simple as F emotional, T unemotional. As again, many people have made that point that's a gross oversimplification of what the TF preference means. But that having been said, obviously there's some truth to it in the sense that overall feeling types uh, express generally an ability to deal with their emotions better, in the sense that emotions come so naturally to us. They're the way that we make decisions, and I know to thinking types that already sounds crazy. Like, what do you mean you make decisions based on emotions? Isn't that like insanity? To them, it seems like it, and that's an area where it's possible that the thinking types have been successful in kind of making their view sort of the majority in terms of common sense thinking. Is that logic-based decisions are inherently superior to emotion-based ones, and obviously that isn't the case. Um, there's a case to be made for both ways of making decisions on different issues. Um, I have been called illogical by many people, And I have responded sometimes that I take that as a compliment. Now, in reality, obviously, there are decisions I make that are based on logic. I have my own kind of sense of logic. But it is kind of, for lack of a better term, an emotional logic. Um, and a kind of a values-based logic, I guess might be a better way to put it. Because somebody hears the word emotional and they tend to think of over dramatic. Think of somebody who's like always angry or always crying all the time, or just um, no, I am always crying all the time, but but not in like a woe is me sobbing all the time way. I just because, like I said, I have these strong emotional connections. My eyes water often at a lot of things. Just it doesn't have to be something sad. If it is sad, it'll definitely get to me, but it doesn't have to be. It can be happy. It can be angering. It can be mysterious. When I listen to a good Sherlock Holmes mystery on the computer or the radio or something, that can make my eyes tear up. So when anything is especially cool, we're just I get excited about it, then that happens. Um, so emotions are like a total body experience for me. They're not just in my head um, or my heart, so to speak. It's like everywhere. It ripples through me, and is such an inherent part of my life. Um, and I have gotten that same kind of um, impression from other strong feelers, whether they be SF or NF. Um, Obviously, there is quite a bit of difference there with NFs versus SFPs and SFJs. There's definitely a different way of experiencing those emotions or um, perceiving them. But I have definitely consistently heard and read people talking about the way that the feelings are so, emotions are so much a part of them that it's just, it's nature. It's not something where there's a consideration done of, well, how do I feel about this and this. That I think actually tends to be more of an NF thing, is spending a lot of time like contemplating emotions. With SFs, we tend to experience them, but probably not spend as much time talking about them or really contemplating, their meaning or their place in our lives. Except when we're doing a video and get questions about it. And SFJs probably wouldn't even do it then. I'm not sure. There might be a few that would. There's somebody on the Typology Central Forum that has a Ask an ESFJ topic, or ESTJ. I can't remember, one of those anyway. So there's a few that are willing to do that, but not a whole lot. Online anyway that have really stepped up to do that. So SJs may dominate the world in many ways, but they don't dominate internet discussion of these sort of things. So yeah, it'd be interesting to hear like the perspective of an SFJ for how they would do it differently. But I can definitely say in the SFP version versus the NF version, whether NFP or NFJ, there's a definite disconnect when it comes to the time and energy spent on like thinking about one's own emotions and contemplating them and pondering them for long periods of time, which especially seems like the introverted NFs, INFPs and INFJs spend a lot of time doing that. And in the J's case, writing a whole bunch of stuff in journals about it and things like that. I think that seems to have been a very common thing in the INFJs I've encountered, is writing a whole lot of stuff down about their own feelings and emotions about things. Not everybody, of course. Again, I realize I'm stereotyping some, but INFJs love goats. So anyway, there's obviously some of a disconnect when it comes to that. But as far as SPs with emotions, and the difference between SFPs and STPs when it comes to that. I have heard from STPs that say that they obviously experience emotions, but they tend to be like sudden bursts, and sometimes they don't really know kind of where did this come from or how do I control it. It becomes an outburst. It becomes something where wow, how did I just totally explode on this person when I wasn't, didn't even think I was that angry, or I didn't even think, that I had that much of a feeling about this, but it just sort of seemed to come out of nowhere. It's not that SFPs don't ever have that happen, but it's a lot less because we're so much more like in tune with our emotions all the time as we go that it's not that we don't ever have outbursts. Obviously, we do, and I think especially the more introverted maybe someone is, the more likely it is to happen because a lot of things kind of get maybe kept inside more, repressed. So when something really kind of forces it to the outside, it can come out as kind of an explosion. Um, but I think in general, SFPs we're so much more used to kind of the emotional roller coaster of life, the way things always are kind of go up and down, that you can kind of, if it was like a, you know, what's it, is it EKG, the one with the, I don't know, anyway, um, if it was measured like physically, like, and you saw, um, kind of up and down on the chart or something, it would be steadier probably, but it would still be up and down, up and down. You'd see this kind of constant thing. Whereas for STPs, it might be kind of long periods of like flatline when it came to emotions, and then all of a sudden huge spikes. Like something really just seemed to burst out because, um, as some have said, STPs kind of have an instinct of somewhat repressing their feelings, and as the message that I got said, an instinctual feeling that if they talk about their feelings that they're whining or that they're appearing weak, that they need to get over stuff. Well, the immediate thought, like the message said, was you know uh, find a solution. It's like a practical thing. Okay, here's a problem. Find the solution, and if there's not a solution, well, then you just have to get over it. That's kind of the general STP approach to life. Deal with what you can deal with. Go whole hog on whatever that is. But if there's a problem that you can't fix, move on because you can't do anything about it. That's the kind of thing that people sometimes spend a lot of money on self-help books to self-help books to tell them such things. STPs don't need to be told that. That's how they operate in life. For SFPs, it's not always that simple. Now, sort of in a vague general way, it is, but we tend to linger on those things more. And if there really isn't a solution to something, we tend to feel bad about it and feel bad for that person. Now, the response in the end may end up being fairly close to the same, because my attitude is, well, if we really can't fix this, then let's find something fun to do. That's generally what my ultimate answer is to things that can't be fixed. Is, well, you can wallow in your unfortunateness at whatever it is that you can't do, or you can enjoy the time that you have on this earth and try to do something that's enjoyable. So, in the long run, the answer may be the same. We just approach it a little bit differently. In that, I look at it as I really do feel something and feel bad for a person that is in a situation where there is a problem, and I do look for a solution. But if there isn't one, if it's something that they just sort of have to live with or accept as being beyond their control, then at that point, my suggestion is to have fun, as best you can with the time you have. And again, that's kind of one of those things where, you say that to SJ types, and there's this kind of, well, you're being irresponsible, or you're not facing the problem. You get that from other types as well. NF types will be like, you need to spend some time like in long contemplation or confrontation with this issue instead of just pushing it down and having fun. But I think the way I look at it is it's not really pushing it down. It's just acceptance. It's saying look, um, you know uh, I can't make that frog. a prince, no matter how many times I kiss it. It's not just not going to happen. So I could sit here and draw up charts on how to turn turn the frog into a prince, or I could wallow in my depression at how the frog is still just a frog, or, I could watch the frog hop around and enjoy that, or I could just, say screw it and go watch a movie about a princess and a frog. So that's kind of the way I look at it as far as SPs and emotions. That again, STPs obviously experience emotions, but there's an inherent kind of way of looking at it that kind of makes them want to repress that, and thus that's why it sometimes comes out as these unexpected outbursts, because there's only so long they can keep it down. And even that, though, I've had STPs tell me that they really don't even do that. Like at least not to the extent that the SFPs do. Like they'll have a emotional kind of moment. They seem to sort of have an outburst, but that's kind of a temper thing. But then it's not to the depth that we, the Fs, feel it. It's not something that lingers. I've had times where somebody drew something out of me in the point where I'm sweating. I have physically my body is just spent from the expression of the emotions that were brought out of me. And when that happens, it's not just a matter of, well, I can cool off for 5 or 10 minutes and then it's over. I've had times where stuff like that kind of lingered for days, where every time that I wasn't immediately focused on doing something to basically get my mind out of it, it would keep going back to that. Whatever it was that got brought out of me, it was like, it was brought to the surface and it can't just be put back in. It's sitting there, engulfing my body, regardless of what I want to happen. So, and that can be kind of scary and somewhat depressing. And that's why it's good to, when something like that happens, to have a support system, people that care about you that can, do things with you. And I think when it comes to type, people of different types that provide their own kind of help for those issues, because, it may be you need somebody who's an NF type to kind of help you to confront something which has made you uncomfortable, but you may benefit from having an SP type around who's able to say, hey, let's go out and have some fun and not spend so much time worrying about this. And sort of, there sort of needs to be a balance, I guess, of all that from time to time. So, there's another rambling answer to a question I've been asked, but hopefully it made some sense. Since the person who asked it, is an ESTP, she may not even be watching this anymore because she's moved on to other things and doesn't even care about the answer. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But if she is still watching and cares, then there you go. And for anybody else who benefited from it, there you go. And again, if there's anything that I've brought up or anything else that you want to ask about more specifically, whether it's via video comment, private message, video response, whatever it is you want to do, I welcome it completely, and will continue to try to help and entertain in whatever way I can. So let me know, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.